going to see if I can spin louder than the people working on the yards. I brought an inferior fleece with me to Hawaii. You can tell, not inferior, it's a lamb's fleece. It was only a couple inches long, and she wasn't coated. So that would mean inferior to some or ideal to others. Who knows? So what I'm going to show you is, people ask me, how do I work with a Cormo fleece? When you send a Cormo fleece to the mill, you lose at least 50% of it, more quite often, in the processing, because, especially a lamb's fleece, because it may want to, well, it does want to, spring back on itself, and so you get the little noils. So what I do to avoid spending the money for mill, plus I like the process myself, this is, you can tell it's a lamb's because it has little curly tips. It does not have blocky tips. Blocky tips come from having been shorn. These are little curly, little baby lamb. Okay, so what I do, here you can see I just washed it in the washing machine, threw it in a bag, took it to Hawaii. Soaked it in the washing machine, no agitating, obviously. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the cut end. I have no idea how well this is showing up in the video. I take the cut end, and I can either tease it apart, like I'll show you in another video, or I can just turn it over, take the cut end, so I am getting the draft going with the scales of the fiber, and then I draft from this. So I am not combing it or carding it, I'm just drafting it through this. I love this because it skips a step. I will pull out, I can see if I run into a little second cut, whatnot, I can see that. I'm trying to get close up to the camera. I can see that, but I don't need to card to see those things. Well, carding can mix it up. And I don't need to comb to get rid of it. I can see it when it comes through. But since this was such a short fleece, it would have been painful to comb. It would have been, I believe, a mess to card. Commercially, they could have done either one. But this is what I prefer to do on my very short fleeces, is just spin straight from the bat. What will happen is, if I draft from my from the cut end, is if there were any dry tips, they will break off. There are a little piece of vegetation, flick, flick, flick. Most of it shakes out. They will break off in my fingers, and I will have it in my fingers. I don't end up with any in the finished yarn. It ends up being an incredibly strong yarn, you know, when you try to break it off your leader. Or when you don't have scissors with you and you need to stop your yarn. You can fluff it up a little bit. If it was caughted or felted at any point, I'll fluff it up a bit. Okay, now here you can see, here I got to, trying to get it in the camera, I can't really see. In the camera, there's a little tip. These tips will show, generally these tips are sheared off with a new lamb when they're about, I don't know, a couple months old. I don't do that. I don't like to do that to my lambs when they're nursing and all that kind of thing. It's just me. I usually spin it myself or tell somebody this is a lamb fleece, and they understand the program. So there you go. So this would technically be a true worsted because it's drafting out, as you can see. Hope you can see. You can see perfectly aligned. But because it's not coming from a comb top, there are many spinning police that would say it is not worsted. So I like to tell people I spin a semi-worsted or a semi-woolen, and then the police can't come after me. I've got an alibi. Well, there you go. This is what I'm doing. The people that bought fleece from me, they're much better fleeces, more substantial locks, in which case I would probably flick them. But when it's a longer lock, I might tease and fluff when I'm in bed and bored silly. because it's nighttime. I'll tease wool just to have something woolly to do. But when I'm up, this is generally how I like to spin straight from the fleece. And it ends up with a pretty exact, even yarn. If I'm paying attention, if I'm watching TV, it's not. Oh, there you go. If you got any fleece from me and you have any questions, but this is how you avoid losing 50% of your fiber in the combing. If this were a weak fleece, it would break off in my fingers. So you don't have to worry about weak spots getting incorporated into your yarn. That's a purpose of combing. Carding would mix the weak and the strong together. But this was a very sound fleece. I just didn't coat it. You know, all the above I mentioned. Okay, there you go. Hope that helps some.